Welcome to
Introverts, Own Your Voice. I'm Tom Marcoux.
And I'm Johanna McLeod.
This episode is How to Say No and Protect Relationships. This is part of material that I'm actually finishing up a new book, and it's about confident time mastery. It's better than time management. But in order to really take care of your schedule, your time, you have to be careful about saying yes to too many things. Many of us have not studied or really paid attention to how to say no with grace and how to say no in a way that you support the relationship and you support yourself, because it's even worse when you say yes and then you fail.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that's on my mind is that when I help people, clients, because we start off with words and then strategy and then rehearsal, or with audience members. I just did a workshop at a university just recently. I have people practice, and I say to them, it's based on the idea that comes from the American way of saying it is Confucius, who said, I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. So I'm suggesting that as you listen to this program, that if I say something, you might pause the program and practice saying it out loud.
Good point.
By the way, Confucius, often an Asian way of saying that is Kung Fu Tzu. I said this to my sweetheart, Kung Fu Tzu, and she said Kung Fu Soup. She's got a good sense of humor. I think she was just playing around there. But Kung Fu Tzu is the one who said that, saying I do and I understand. We're going to use the word true. You want to keep the relationship true. You want to have a true friendship. You want to have good business relationships. So we're going to use the word true, and every letter is going to stand for a method. So the first thing is that you need to, for T, for true, is take time. If you say no right away, then it's like, oh, you don't care. You just brushed me off. So you have to say, let me check my schedule. How if I get back to you like 4 o'clock Thursday?
How about if somebody asks you to do something and you just really don't want to? How do you address that?
You still would want to take time.
But my schedule is full at such and such time. Well, when they just pick another time, you can't just keep saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, well, the thing that I'm really getting to is that you said that you'll check your schedule and you'll get back to them Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So that's what we're aiming for. We're taking time.
Okay.
But about the idea that there are certain things that you don't ever want to do. I get it. Or there's certain things that it's just, you're in a time that's really fast, is a big burden. Maybe there's major deadlines at work. Or maybe you're having to take care of an elderly family member, or there's something going on. So that leads us to the second part of true. R is respond with regret. Once again, people don't want to be brushed off. So you need to take time. But at the same time, you say, I'll have to say no at this time. My plate is full. So the idea that we're getting to is that you actually make that sound. If you're on the phone, you go, ah. That sound makes it feel like it really hurts you, it bothers you to not be able to help this person in the way they prefer. So that's R of true. U is to understand your schedule is full. So you let them know. You say that I have to say no at this time. My schedule is just so smashed full. It's just so intense right now because of major deadlines, because we have to come through with something.
What happens if that's not true? It just sounds like you're lying.
Well, don't lie. So then you have to say it in some other way. I will tell you that sometimes what you have to do, and when we say understand, the U of true, is you have to understand that there's some things that is not a match for you. Saying, I really do want to help you. If there's some way to help a friend, I'd like to help them, but not paint their house or paint a room. Something about painting a room, I've done it for myself, in places I've lived. I just really dislike that. If you need help with painting, how if I get somebody to help you? I mean, I might even pay for someone to help them paint the room or something like that. What I'm saying is that
I really hate painting.
I really don't like painting. I don't know why. But my point, though, you want to help, but you just let them know that there's just some things that are not a match for you. And that's how you avoid lying. You just say, I want to help you. Let's find another way. I'll give you another example. There have been situations where I've been pulled into things where somebody wants me to help promote something that they're doing. Sometimes I feel more comfortable to share what they're doing to my Twitter followers. Sometimes I feel more comfortable to putting something up on my Facebook page. I have multiple Facebook pages, but maybe there's certain Facebook pages. Like I have one related to a children's graphic novel called Crystal Pegasus. I would not want to put certain messages or certain postings that inform people of something that's not a match for that particular page. I get to figure that out, but sometimes I have to tell people that, well, let me talk to my marketing folks in my team so I can see how I might be able to support that, what you're talking about. I like to support you. I care about what you're doing. I really feel that what you're doing is very valuable for people. I just have to have some time to see how I can help. Now, it doesn't always work out that I help them in exactly the way they want to be helped, but most people I talk to are glad to have something better than zero, to have some form of help. Now, if they're too pushy, that tells you something about that relationship, that tells you something about that other person. Also, sometimes you just have to stand your ground.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is E of true is to energize other way to help. And that's what we're talking about here. Is that if you don't feel comfortable promoting somebody's stuff on your Facebook page, then you say, well, let me help you by, I know about 3 people who would be interested in this. I'll give them a call, see if they have an interest in it. So you're going to help them. Now, you didn't agree to call 100 people, but you say, I have about 3 people I know that might be a match for what you're doing there. So the whole idea is when you say no, often what you're doing is you're looking to see if there's something smaller or something different that you could say yes to.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and the idea is that you don't want to overburden yourself, because if you do not watch out for your own health, your own sleep, your own rhythm, your own renewal, if you don't watch out for that, you will probably really disappoint somebody by falling apart or even getting sick. If you get sick, you're not going to be there either.
So, Tom, how does this all relate to introverts like us?
Introverts have less energy. I often say that an extrovert has a giant pizza of energy, and an introvert has a pecan pie of energy. So this massively relates to being an introvert, because you have to guard your energy. Especially because introverts are pushed into social situations, going to work, all those meetings. Those meetings actually drain our energy away. I always think of those as a show. We're putting on a show. I know that I'm an introvert, and a lot of people don't realize it, that when I'm in front of an audience, I'm at work, and which means it doesn't matter how I feel, it matters that I'm going to have to generate the energy to actually be doing work, which is at a workshop, or if I give a speech in front of 700 people or whatever it is, I have to have that energy, which means I must be able to say no to certain things. Recently, I was being invited by a couple of family members to see a particular film. And I said, no. I said, I can't make that. Maybe later on, when you want to see that on Blu-ray later, maybe I can watch it with you then. But I can't go to that particular feature film at the movie theater, because I was actually knowing that I had to reserve my energy to make marketing phone calls. So I can't be everywhere. And if I overpack my schedule, and you have to leave a buffer in your schedule, especially as an introvert, you have to leave a buffer because surprises show up. I have no idea right now. I have elderly parents. I have no idea when I'm going to get the call. It's happened before, where suddenly into the hospital they go, and I have to drop everything. I was at a conference a couple 100 miles away, and I had to drop everything from that conference and zip up there and go visit them in the hospital. I never know when the next hospital visit is the final hospital visit, because they're elderly folks. Introverts and everybody needs to learn how to say no with grace, how to say no and protect your relationship. And this is part of what I call confident time mastery, better than time management. See, many people say, oh, I need to improve my time management. What they're saying really is, if they're really aware of it, is I've got to overcome procrastination. They're also saying, I've got to stop saying yes to everything, if they're really aware. But many of them may not be paying attention to that. My question for you, Johanna, is what are you going to keep from this conversation?
I found the part where you say no, but you kind of like shutting a door but opening a window, that saying.
Yes.
Basically, you may not be able to help them in one way, but you flip it on its head and try to help them in another way that might be able to help the original problem in the first place.
Yes. Now, let me just toss in a couple of ideas along that line about opening that window. So somebody wanted me to attend. They had some kind of nonprofit organization, and a person like me, I get invited to be on boards of directors of this, board of directors for that. They said, why don't you come to this meeting? And I said, I want to help. How about if after the meeting's over, you and I can have a 10-minute phone call, and I could be supportive and maybe bounce some of the ideas around with you? Or would you like that 10-minute phone call before you have the meeting? So I'm not agreeing to a 2-hour meeting or an hour-and-a-half meeting. I'm agreeing to talk to this one person. See, I'm an introvert, which means it's more fun for me to talk to one person. But I'm also agreeing to a 10-minute phone call. Now, sometimes I got a lot of really busy friends. So sometimes just to keep up with each other's lives, I say, hey, I'll find them on Facebook and I'll say, you got an opening for like a 7-minute phone call? 7 minutes, you can get a lot done in 7 minutes. You can at least connect and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And they can complain to you, and then they do. A lot of people. I've just come up with this phrase lately that for many people, social media is a spittoon of complaints.
Oh, wow, yes.
Somebody looks at something and says, there, ding, into the spittoon, some complaints. My point here, though, is that here are a couple of ways that you open up that window that you were talking about. One is that you get some time. That was the first part of true. Remember, take time. You say, I know you want some help promoting this. Let me talk to my marketing person and we'll see how I might be able to help. You get what I call think space. You get time to think it through, and that's really valuable. The other thing, too, is offer an alternative. And you just heard that alternative I said. Instead of my being at an hour-and-a-half meeting, it's not just being in the meeting, it's the hour to get to the meeting and then the hour to get back for the meeting.
Yes.
The travel time. So, I mean, that's a dedication of at least 3.5 hours. 10-minute phone call, 10-minute Skype. Rather do that. Well, thank you very much, Johanna.
Well, thank you, Tom.
We'd like to share that we have an online class called the Introverts Formula to Get Clients. The next class, with some space still available, is in January 2019. So if you want to pre-enroll, you can go to getthebigyes.com and click on the contact and send us a message. Once again, that's getthebigyes.com. We're glad that you heard this broadcast, and we invite you to
Click to subscribe.
and then you'll be supporting me and Johanna and our message.
And so now remember,
Introverts can show their best self with strategy.
I'm Johanna McLeod.
I'm Tom Marcoux.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.